Hey guys, I am back with my second character showcase. I want to open the video by saying happy birthday to my brother. It is his birthday today, and in honor of that, I am going to be talking about his favorite character in game and one of his favorites in the show, and that's Tomura Shigaraki. So a lot of my information actually comes from him. He's a much better player at this character than I am. He goes by Wisp on YouTube and in-game. So, if you could, I'll put a link to his channel, so if you could go over there and wish him a happy birthday, then that would be awesome. I just want to flood his comments. Anyway, that said, happy birthday, and I hope I do Shigaraki justice for you. So, the first thing we're going to talk about is just a quick overview of his skills. Shigaraki has two big kind of traits. So, his spite meter and decay. The spite meter we fill up to summon Nomu. When Nomu is out, the skills will change, and we see Nomu attack, and then Shigaraki can follow up. When Nomu is not out yet, Shigaraki does his attacks. Now, one interesting thing about Shigaraki is, I'll show you this in a second, but his combo actually can be long pressed, which is interesting. I think that is new, or I think that's unique. Of course, I might prove myself wrong as I come through more showcases, but yeah, so that's an interesting thing to note. Now, a lot of Shigaraki skills, such as that long pressed basic combo, but also the Nomu follow-ups, deal decay, stacks of decay. So the more stacks of decay, the more health they lose. And that's kind of his main kind of focus there. Your quirk skill, if you're controlling Nomu, you inflict decay on enemies who are close while the quirk skill is activated. So that's really powerful. If Nomu's not out, you still deal more damage, and it increases the speed at which you gain spite. So that is a pretty solid skill. His ultimate gives him some AoE that deals pretty heavy damage. So now, one thing about Shigaraki, decay increases attack damage, and when he grabs, he deals extra damage. So these two are pretty solid. When he hits double S, Nomu damage increases. Triple S is a really cool skill. So the more decay, the more stacks of decay on his enemies, the stronger his ultimate skill will be. And his attack also increases directly after that. Triple S is a massive damage boost and a defense reduction, Triple S plus. So, obviously, as with every character, Shigaraki is better when he gets to SS, even better at Triple S, and the best at Triple S plus, right? But none of these skills are necessarily game-breaking for him. So I don't think he's one of the characters who needs to be a certain rank to be usable. That said, if you want to be a top damage dealer with him, this triple S skill is pretty important, but I've managed to clear all of his hero trials and, you know, can get somewhat decent damage with him without that. Now, there is one interesting thing about Shigaraki. His smash combo has some weird wording about throwing an enemy in hyper armor. So I went ahead and asked one of my guild members to help me out here. He's just going to use Endeavor to get hyper armor so that I can grab him and see what happens. It looks like I did not throw him. So that's basically it. Right, so I don't know exactly what this Shigaraki will grab the target in hyper armor and increase spite after the throw means. For Shigaraki's cards, there are a lot of options, so my layout is a little different for him. These are some of my best cards and I just kind of swap them around, but I like Cold Shot. That just increases crit rate. Anything crit rate is pretty good. So Ragdoll and Kendo are, you know, budget options. Mustard is pretty solid. This increases skill damage based on stacks of Poisonous Fog, which can be inflicted by using skills. And it's more damage increase the higher the breakthrough. Getting a 3-star broken through, a level 3 breakthrough 5-star card is not too bad just by playing the game. So this is a solid card to put on him because so much of his focus is skill damage. Now this is where it's a little more up for grabs. I'll show you another layout, but I like Mirio on Shigaraki. I like Mirio on everyone, but this charges up his quirk skill, and his quirk skill fills up his spite faster or inflicts people with decay. So activating that as frequently as possible is great for me. So that's why I like to have Mirio on him. And I put Cellophane on here because it's just a damage increase. You know, that's always solid as well. Now, some other options are a combination of Mastermind and Dance with the Wind. This gets hyper armor on him because Mastermind fills up that R skill faster, and then using the R skill gives him hyper armor with Dance with the Wind. Either of these can also be useful on their own. I would say especially Mastermind, just to, you know, give him some AoE compatibility. So this one here, I obviously don't have that card, so I can't use that in mine. And then, of course, Shigaraki's exclusive cards are going to be good for him. Again, I didn't pull either of those, but this gives him a flat 12% damage boost, and this gives him damage dealt to enemy with decay boost. So both of those can increase his damage as well. All right, let's take a quick look at talent trees. Now, as you can see, I picked top right and left. That said, this goes against the advice of most people I have found. So this bottom right, increasing the amount of time that Nomu is out, that is pretty solid. It goes up by 5 seconds, or 333%. That doesn't sound right. There we go. It goes up by 5 seconds, or 33.3%, but that gives you 20 seconds with Nomu, which is you know, a pretty big improvement since a lot of the damage happens while Nomu's out, and a lot of the decay stacks happen while Nomu's out. This top right is the other one you should go for. So the advice that I get from everybody is the 2 right paths, right? And this basically increases decay damage, or frequency of decay damage, which is really important for Shigaraki because that's mostly how he deals damage. You can also get increased damage for grabbing enemies with hyper armor, which is cool. The reason I went left is because he inflicts extra stacks of decay on enemies with hyper armor. That is a pretty solid thing, and I found it pretty useful in hero trials, but for the most part, I don't necessarily think this is the path you should go. I just don't play Shigaraki enough to justify a reset to myself. Alright, chips. This is pretty standard. You want, 6-star Tomura Shigaraki chips, technical, crit, damage increase, penetration, right? You want your offensive stats on those. You don't want power or tenacity, but this has level 4 technical, so it's a pretty solid chip. Alright, so that's kind of an overview of what to upgrade for him. Let's take a look at his skills. Shigaraki has a lot of skills to remember, which makes him interesting because he's an active played character. If you spam the attack button like me, here's his combo. He's actually, if you hold it, or all you really have to hold is the 4th attack. So there's my 4th by tapping, and here's my 4th by holding. See, he grabs and throws. Alright, quick look at his skills. W will teleport. Here, let's hide my assist. So he teleports and slams into them. E is a grab that throws. Q rushes in and swipes. That is a really big builder of spite. Now, the other interesting note is while he's still solo, pressing E grabs, and then you can immediately activate Q without cooldown. So even if I use Q first and then E, I can activate it again. That also works if Q is still full. I'm gonna let Nomu drain out for a second. So if Q is still ready to be activated, I can actually just activate it twice. So that also happens when I long press this combo, grab him, immediately activate Q. So that is your best way to build up spite. And Nomu comes out. Now Nomu has different skills, so he can jump in, launch them, and Shigaraki can teleport to follow up and grab. Nomu can launch them. Shigaraki teleports and slams. And Nomu can charge. And Shigaraki can come in and grab their face and decay them. So that's how his skills work. You'll have the quirk skill charges up spite more quickly. And it also inflicts decay when Nomu is out. And let's see, his R skill just deals some pretty heavy damage. So that's pretty much how Shigaraki functions. He's very solid as a single target unit. but where he's lackluster is AoE. So the R skill can deal AoE damage, but other than that, most of his attacks are single target focused. This can deal some damage, right? But he fills a niche that is surprisingly like relatively empty as a single target damage dealer in this game, which makes him solid for agency in forest and fighting bosses. So he's pretty good. He's not the best damage dealer overall, you know, until you start really building him up, but he's a pretty solid unit. Let's take a look at some PvP potential too. So I haven't played too much as Shigaraki, but I do like that I can close the distance on people like Dabi. Interesting. Looks like I'm fighting the same person. I know it wasn't smart to rush into that attack, but since I'm really here just to play around, I was trying to see if I could grab him with his hyper armor. One note that I do have is with this Q skill, it requires rushing into Ida, or to your enemy, I mean. So that has a very narrow attack range if I'm too close, or yeah, if he dodges. But if I'm too close, it can actually kind of mess up my aiming, so that can get a little weird. I do want to discuss Shigaraki's potential in Super Co-op and Warzone modes. Since he is very single target focused and he doesn't have hyper armor, I don't think he's necessarily the best character to put on your teams here. The battles are pretty quick. He probably won't get Nomu out, so really, I mean, if he's extraordinarily strong, he could he could probably hold his own and deal some damage, but I do think there are better characters. He could maybe throw him around, inflict some decay, but yeah, just, you know, he could have some uses. I'm not going to say he can't, but for me, overall, he isn't going to be in my lineup. There are some better choices. That said, he is a solid unit for Arena. He's fun to play as, and, you know, you can catch some people off guard. Once you get Nomu out, you're a force to be reckoned with, right? Because you have 2 against 1. He's solid in agency assessment as well. I am not going to do a run right now, but, you know, I'll post some other videos. My brother always, you know, anytime he gets a title here is with Shigaraki. He's great against bosses. The big caution, I will say, is, as with most characters, I think, you have to be really careful who you're running with. If you get a team with a low BP All Might, and by low BP, you know, I mean even medium to high, if this All Might can't carry, he'll, you know, use tornadoes, throw enemies around, and Shigaraki's attacks are very specific and easy to miss. So you don't want, you know, you have to be careful who you're running with if you're going to play Shigaraki, but he is very solid here. In 9-man mode, my brother has soloed bosses as him, so he's definitely a solid unit. He's a fun unit, and the biggest draw for me is that he's pretty good at S. So, you know, he's not one of those that you need to pull multiple times to make him useful. Obviously, he gets stronger as you pull more times, but it's not necessary. So, for that reason, I do think that Shigaraki is, or for all those reasons, a worthwhile character if you are interested in pulling for him, you know, if you like him, or if you think his playstyle looks fun. I do think he's a good character and a pretty worthwhile one. Just know that his damage won't ramp up to quite the level of some of the other characters until you know, until you start getting him to double S or triple S, but he's very usable at S, which is pretty nice. So that's kind of my assessment. Let me know if you have any questions, but I hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching. Stay tuned for next time, guys, and one more time, happy birthday to my brother. I'm just gonna say Wisp because, you know, I don't know how he feels about sharing his name, but check him out. His channel will be in the description. All right, thanks, guys.